Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Enchanted Chatter. We are joined this week by Cassie and Taryn. All right. So, who wants to go first introducing?
You go there.
All right, we're gonna put Taryn on the hot seat. All right. All right. So
I like the little
you.
guy better.
All right. So, what brought you into Lorcana?
An Instagram advertisement, which sounds very strange, but I can tell the abbreviated story. I was scrolling Instagram in Tucson when Set One came out, and one of the game stores that my husband and I go to buy board games advertised a starter deck event for that night. And I was like, I have no idea what this is, but there's Disney characters involved. So I clicked on it and I watched the trailer and I was like, I still really don't know what this is. But it seems like Disney, which I like, and Magic, which my husband had played in the past. So when he came home, I, on a whim, because I'm not usually like a let's go try something new person, I was like, do you want to go do this thing tonight at the game store? And he was like, yes. So we went and we get there and I was like, I don't want to get out of the car. And he's like, we're gonna get out of the car. We're gonna try it out. And so we played a starter deck event. We still didn't really know what was going on, but we had a great time. We found some more local game stores that were doing things that weekend, and we got hooked. And we've been playing ever since then. So it was sort of an accident, but a very happy discovery that got us into the game in the first place.
I love that. Was it? So, is this your first TCG?
It is my first TCG. Yep. I played a little bit of Hearthstone when he was doing that, but not a lot. It was just more for fun. But this is my very first TCG ever.
That's awesome. And you're already into the judging atmosphere of it. I love that for you.
It's a good. I teach for a living, and so I feel like it sort of parallels what I like to do. I didn't particularly enjoy competitive play, and so, but I wanted to be able to travel with my husband when he was playing at events, and he was like, "You should try judging. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it." And then I did it, and I loved it, and so that's what I've been doing ever since in terms of the competitive aspects of things. I still like playing casually, but competitively, judging side is definitely where I want to be.
Oh, yeah, I love that. All right, we're gonna flip, and Cassie's now in the hot seat. All right,
Hi
so
guys.
all right, let's hear about your Lorcana adventure. How did you get started?
Well, I actually come from board games. I'm a huge otaku. First and foremost, my first love is anime, and I used to translate cards. So I used to translate Way Schwartz and cards from English to Japanese and Japanese to English when I lived in Japan. And when I came back, I kind of had like a void that I was missing. Because
Sorry,
I
you live in
was
Japan. That's like my dream vacation. I'm like, you were amazing. Like that's so exciting. Sorry,
yeah,
I was fangirling a bit. I was like, ooh,
I love
we're going next year. I need tips.
I loved it so much that I stayed for 2 years. So that kind of got me into the TCG realm. I was a competitive Catan player. So I was a semifinalist in 2014, 2015, and 2016. I almost made it to Germany. And then I took a break. And then I didn't have a void. I kind of just had like a void for a while because I was only doing small projects here and there. And then a friend of mine recommended Lorcana, and I was really interested about it. I'm not actually a huge Disney person. I'm more of an anime person. So it's like, okay, it could be like Lee Schwartz, it could be like Union Arena, it could be like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, I don't know about that.
There's such a broad spectrum it can be on when it comes to TCGs.
So my friend got me into the Inklings. I came in set 3. He got me into the Inklings starter deck, and I was hooked. And it was right near Fort Worth, close to Fort Worth time. And I was like, I'm going to go to Fort Worth. I'm going to learn this game. I'm going to play this game. And I just went, and if you're neurodivergent by any means, when you go into something, you really kind of go into it. So I went like 100 and
Full commit.
full commit,
Full
and
send.
then I tried to go to Vegas. I couldn't get a ticket, and I was like, well, I guess I could judge. That's how I can get there, right? And I magically, I passed the test, and I was on the floor a week later, and I fell in love, and here I am.
I love that. That's when Courtney's in the chat. She's on a plane, I believe, right now, but she's here in spirit and in love. Yeah, she also started as Into the Inklands, and I think the first like big tournament, like really big tournament for us was Chicago DLC, and then we got lucky. Oh, oops, my name says Courtney. I don't remember how to change it. Courtney is the brains of the operation, guys. Let's go text. It's not that one. We're gonna roll with it. I'm Courtney. Hello. There we go. Found it. All right. Fix it. Thank you, chat. There we go. I think that's all the things I was supposed to change. I did change the question of the day. So yeah, Fort Chicago was a big one that we were at, and then we were lucky enough that we're from Fort Worth, so the Fort Worth DLC came, and it was like down the road. And so we were like, oh, sweet, like we get to go to this one. Then we ended up going to Vegas also because it was just the tournaments. I feel like is a whole other level of like excitement and fun and meeting people. And then I remember seeing you on the stage with your Labubu's as we were going there. I was like, me and my friend Miriam, she was like, man, she's like, we want Labubu. She's like, I want Labubu so bad. I was like, what is this craze with Labubu? I was like, I don't get it. And then she was like, no, like I really want one. Like I need your help getting onto Pop Mart to try to get me one whenever they drop on this date. And then we got there and I was like, hey, she has a Labubu.
I'll have a new Labubu for Milwaukee. I got a special edition purple Labubu for Milwaukee. Ooh. But no, like Vegas was my first one, and I think more than ever there should be, especially in the TCGO realm, there should be more female representation, especially for a TCG that is so friendly to the female audience, and that's why we're here.
And also, we were speaking of like females in the judge space. I was lucky enough to get to see both of you in Denver at PPG, and you were the only two female judges there in general. And at one point, Taryn was the only one out on the floor, and she was judging the sealed. And I was running around, and I was like, Taryn's here. And I was like, and Cassie was like running with the toddler. Hey guys, how's it going? Like, gotta go. He's crying, but I'm really glad I got to say hi as I'm running by and dropping everything. And
Taryn, you recently head judged for another third-party TO, am I correct?
Yes, yeah. So I'm currently the head judge for the Charlie Collectible show and his invitational series. So the next one coming up in December. Yep, 6th and 7th at Stone Mountain, Georgia is the second invitational piece of his series, but it's also a CCQ, so it should be a good time.
Ooh. How did you get in? It was like you do your locals, and then how do you get into doing all the judging for these other third party? Like, how'd you get in with Charlie's, and like, how did you go about starting this journey?
So my journey started in Atlanta. My husband was going to play in the event, and he said you should apply. Like there's no harm in applying, and if they say yes, great. If they say no, it's also okay. There's no harm in applying. So I got accepted there. It was the first time I had ever judged an event. It was a 2,000 player DLC. It was big. It was a lot, but it was a lot of fun. And then I think the only North American event that I didn't do last year was Chicago because it came so close after Atlanta that I didn't apply at the time because I wasn't sure it was something I was going to like. And I didn't want to commit to something that I was like, didn't enjoy at all. But I loved it. And so I did all of the North American DLCs and I worked at Continentals. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to work at Worlds as well. So that was my like DLC sort of spectrum of events that I did. And through that, I met other judges that work these third party events. And when they put out applications, I applied for them. In terms of Charlie's itself, that one I got into because I knew the head judge who was working that event. And he had some last minute cancellations. And he's a good friend of mine. He called me up and he was like, "Can you get to Atlanta this weekend?" And this was like Monday. And I was like, "Sure, I can do that." He's like, I'll pay for your housing. I'll comp your housing because I know it's hard to get here last minute. And so I just went down to Charlie's and I worked that event with him. And I really enjoy judging. It's a lot of fun. It's a good challenge, but it's so much fun. Like the connections with players. So I know a whole bunch of players now. They say hi to me as I'm walking around the floor. Like it's like that aspect is really neat. And so that was sort of how I got into Charlie's. It was just a last minute. I need somebody this weekend. I know that Taryn, because I had recently relocated to the East Coast. He's like, I know that Taryn lives over here. She can probably get down here. And then I kept going back after that. And he wanted to step out of judging a little bit. And I was one of the people that Charles, who's the TO there, they're asked to step into that place.
Yeah. I have not personally met Charles, but I have talked to him over the phone solely because he had the first women's tournament and I was signed up to go and ended up getting hospitalized like a week before and I couldn't travel. And he was so nice about working with me and like gave me a refund. He's like, "I really hope you can just come the next time." And like, he was such a great person. I was like, he seems like he passed the vibe check for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of my favorite people that I've gotten to work with. I haven't worked with a lot of people, and really everybody's my favorite person. I'll say that. Like everybody who works in the Lorcana space that I've worked with has just been absolutely phenomenal. And so, but yeah, Charles is a great person to work for, and his women's tournament is, I think, it's evolving and it's becoming something truly special. The first time we had it was in March, I think, and it went well. This last time in August, it went even better, and it has some of the most magical like vibes around it, I would say, in terms of the way the tournament feels as people are playing.
I was so sad that I couldn't go. I was like, everything happened. I was like, I can't go to Georgia anymore and I can't do it. And I was really excited. And I was like, we had already talked to like Melissa from TFM was going and like a few other people that we knew. I was like, it's going to be so much fun. And I was like, no.
Maybe in December.
But yeah, maybe in December I'll get to go because I hadn't committed originally because we always go to PAX Unplugged in Philly and I couldn't remember what weekend that was. So I was like, it's usually either the first weekend of December or the last weekend of November. And I don't want to overcommit because I know we're going to that. My son has been every year that he has been alive. He has been to PAX Unplugged. So
it's lovely.
We will be going back. We have to at this point. It's tradition.
Yeah. And right after Charlie's, I also worked for a third-party TO as well. I work for PPG. I'm the support admin. I'm an ergonomic compliance. So when you get hurt at work or workers' compensation, I'm the person who kind of helps you prevent those injuries. I do investigation work. There's a lot of things I do. But PPG, who was the season 1 TO organizer for the DLCs, they needed a support admin, just someone to do the emails, help organize the summit that they have, which you saw me at Denver, which you were there. And I was like, you know what? I could do that. Why not? And then I got thrown in, into the deep end. And it's a really great team. It's a passionate team.
I was going to say, when I think PPG, I think you immediately, because I just always see you up on the stage, like running and coordinating things. I'm like, she's never the person speaking to everyone, but I still feel like Cassie was who is in charge.
Oh, thank you.
I was like, she looks like she's got everything handled.
You know that mom term where you have visible and invisible labor, like someone has to pack the lunch, someone has to pack the water bottles, make sure that everyone has a change of clothes. I do that little invisible labor behind the scenes, and someone else does the someone's the cool dad and gets to do all the cool stuff, and I'm just the mom making.
Maybe that's why I
sandwiches
saw
in the
you
back.
as the one in charge, because I'm the mom doing the stuff in the background usually, and I'm like, wait, she's doing everything back here that needs to get done that people don't think needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I have a
also,
2.5
speaking of
year
people,
old.
exactly. So you get it. So it's just, listen, there's different roles everyone has to play. Everyone's got their own shoes that they got to put on. Alter your hats, the different hats. There we go. That's what the saying is. All right. So we have a question for y'all. What is the hardest part of judging, of being a judge?
Being confident. When you have somebody who is a competitive player, who is competitive in different TCGs, who who does the circuit, when you have to come at them and be confident and be firm in your ruling, and make sure that they understand, comprehend, and proceed to play according to the rules. For me, that's my hardest because I doubt myself constantly, especially in a very high stakes situation like the PPGs, like the summits, which have cash money on the line. So people are playing for $10,000, $5,000, CCQ status. They're like, this is time is money, and you want to make sure that you're confident in your rulings while while commanding respect at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Coming from
Taryn,
wrong
what
camp.
about Taryn, what about you? What's the hardest part for you?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think the confidence is definitely something. Oh, it's my whole face now.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was like, everybody left. I'm entertaining the masses on my own. That's not good.
I touched the mouse and it clicked on your image and just really threw you on the hot seat.
That's okay. That's okay. So I think that's some of it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would consider the hardest part. I think it depends, like tournament to tournament too. So sometimes things that are easy in one tournament are more challenging in others. And so the being flexible is super important. And I think that there's that's an important part of being a judge, is just being able to be flexible in a moment, but probably confidence, just like owning what I know and not outwardly second guessing it. Like I can inwardly second guess, I can walk away, I can confer with somebody else, but outwardly I need to own what I'm doing in the moment. And that, I don't think that comes naturally to me very well.
Yeah, I would struggle as being a judge. Y'all are great at it, and I applaud y'all for it, because I personally, if I feel like I would be like, okay, I know there's a rule book, and I know there are different ways to classify different types of scenarios of like what happens, where does this fall under, how do you judge based off of that? So there is so much that goes into that is the bare minimum of it. I know solely because my husband was a judge. The extent of it I know is that whenever you're looking at stuff on a call, there's different ways you could classify it, and then the different ways to classify it determines what happens from there. And so there's a lot. And so I applaud y'all for being able to do it, because that is a lot of information to keep on top of just knowing general gameplay. So I applaud y'all for that, because I feel like I have mom brain half the time, and anyone that has seen me at any sort of tournament can tell I have pure chaos happening at all times. And I cannot for the life of me remember the little girl's name, but they're a PPG Denver. There was a girl running the prize wall, and she was very young. I want to say she was like maybe 20.
Oh, that's Jenny.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, she is my son's favorite person at any event ever. He decided that they were going to play catch. Every single time they walked by, they would play catch and peekaboo. And she single-handedly saved me one day because he was just not having it. Our flight got in super late, and shout out to her for being a rock star. And
love it.
Really just rolling with it for everyone's sake. Get everyone happy. Screaming child is not fun for anyone to be around.
And I think that confidence needs to happen in TCGs as well. Like women players, we as players, we want to make the right choices, and we want to make sure that we have that confidence not only in our gameplay, but in our standard and our standing as a player as well. That's why the women's tournament is amazing, because that in itself is a safe space for women too. When you're in a competitive moment, there might be somebody who's giving off that vibe, and you're just like, and that puts you off. But for the women's only tournaments, which I think is a great thing, you don't have that sense of uneasy.
Oh no.
Uneasy. Are they judging me, for making this move? We listen and we don't judge.
Unlike what our decal said for this week, we listen and we don't judge, even though we do. The judges judge for judging purposes only.
And Taryn made it to the epicenter. She was confident in her rulings. She was confident in her what she did, and she went to Worlds. I mean,
that's amazing in itself. Were you the only female judge at Worlds, or were there multiple?
There were 4 of us there. So out of the crew, I was the only North American female judge, but the European judges, there were one of the head judges was female, and then 2 of the other judges from Europe were female. And there, I got to work with them in Bologna a couple weeks ago because I was there at the Bologna DLC. And they're some of my favorite judge friends, as I call them.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you, how was it judging this previous DLC compared to like last year's, like the first one? Your first experience, you've gained now this one, the first one for you for the season. You've had clearly tons more experience because I feel like you're judging every weekend for different tournaments and different things happening. But the confidence, everything, just how did it feel like going into it? You're obviously going to a completely different country, but
yeah. So I think initially I had the same sort of like nerves and not necessarily uncertainty. I'm just an anxious person in general. So going into it, I was a little bit nervous because I'd only worked the North American events. I knew like event structure wise what to expect, but I wasn't sure how my language barrier would affect the experience I had, because I only speak English. Like that's the only language I've learned. But it was a lot of fun. I think it was a great tournament. There were challenges, just like there were challenges in Atlanta last year in terms of software, but we worked through everything, and language wasn't an issue. I met some really, really neat people. Yes, I did have gelato. It was delicious. I ate so much gelato in Italy.
As you should.
Is fantastic. Like, I ate really good food. I went a little bit extra before and after so that I wasn't just in Italy for a weekend.
I went to Italy a few years ago, and I still have dreams about some of the food that we had there.
It's so good. It's such delicious food.
There was like one little mom and pop restaurant that we went to whenever we were there, and it was the best food. I think we ate there, like we were there for 10 days, and I believe we ate at that restaurant like 4 different times. We just got different things each time we went because it was just so good. And they passed the vibe check. It was me and my sister, and it was 2 American women there that didn't speak much Italian, if any, and they were the kindest, like most sweet people I've ever met. This old man that was there running it was the nicest person ever. I was like, I'm never going to go anywhere else now. Now you're stuck with me for the entire time we're here. But
yes, I love how she's talking about food. Like going to try new food and friends was my favorite thing about TCGs. And you're talking about Bologna, and I think there's 2 head judges for Milwaukee, and one of them is female for Milwaukee. So I won't spoil the fun for that, but we will have female representation at Milwaukee.
Oh, I love that for us. It feels like in Lorcana specifically, there's a lot more of female players and more of a presence than most TCGs in general, at least in our area when I go to. There's still like there are females in Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and all the things, but it just feel like whenever you go to Lorcana, there's a lot more of a split of there's a lot more of females in there in the space than we're used to seeing whenever.
Look at this.
It's cute. It's so pretty.
Who wouldn't want to play with this? Who wouldn't?
Right. What was your like first card? Like whenever I first got into Lorcana, like and I was like looking at the cards, I was like the first card that I looked at because we got in at first chapter, right out the gate. We were in it. So for me, it was like the Enchanted Bell from first chapter. The remember what I'm talking about? Set 1 Bell in the library. She's swinging through the library with her big dress. And I was like, oh, I need it. I was like, okay, I'm down to play with this. I need this card. I want a deck where I can just play with this card. And set 1, that wasn't the best card in the game. Also was, but I wanted to play with it anyways. So that was fun. What was your card that you were like, ooh, the first card you saw it, you were like, oh, I really want this card.
My very first one was the Enchanted Elsa from set 1. But that was a chase card for a long time because it was very expensive. But my husband went to a tournament and he won it for me. So now I own one because he won me a card. But my all-time, hands down, favorite Lorcana card, it's not a good card, I understand this, is Honey Wizard Pooh. It's just, I loved Winnie the Pooh as a kid. I still love Winnie the Pooh. And that card is just like magical. Every time I see it, I'm like, that's my guy. That's my Honey Wizard Pooh. We were opening packs because he's been playing Set Chance. And I opened this one. We have a page of Winnie the Poohs in one of our card binders. And it's just all of my like foil Winnie the Poohs.
How many of those Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard stickers do you have now?
I got a whole package. I don't even know how it happened. He went to a set champ last weekend, and he goes, "I got you prizes," and he came home. He showed it to, like, he took a picture of it, but it was from this angle, and I was like, "Oh, you got me a sticker." And then he came home and he had the whole package, and I was like, I love it, but what am I gonna do with all of these? Because this is a lot.
It is a lot of them.
But
every judge call you give, like, here's a sticker for service.
Yep. You get a sticker for not yelling back at me.
You get a sticker because you asked me a question.
Good job.
I had a player give me a good job card in Bologna. I took a call. It wasn't even a call during a match. I was chatting with them as they were walking by because they asked me if I had a Sharpie, and I did not because I was an unprepared judge. But as I was walking away, he goes, wait, hold on. And he pulls it out and he goes, here you go. You've done a good job this weekend. And so that went in the special card binder of cards that have special meaning.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I'm the worst because me and Courtney will make friendship bracelets for big events. And I was better about it in Denver because Courtney gave me a whole ginormous carabiner. Like the ones for diaper bags that are like this large. Like as large as my face, and it was full of friendship bracelets. And so luckily, like I went over there and I ran up. I think I gave y'all some, but I think at one point I just like went down the table of like all of like the top 10 tables and was like, you get a bracelet, you get a bracelet, you get a bracelet. I was like, here you go, guys. I was like, y'all are doing fantastic, and I'm really proud of you. I don't think I actually said anything other than like, I'm just really proud of you. Good job, guys. Just like kept going because I was having to move to keep the child keep going. And I was like, because I wasn't competing in that one. Toddler was having a rough time. 11 p.m. flights are not a good idea with a 2-year-old. In case anyone was wondering, it was a bad idea.
I think my chase card was the DLC Rapunzel. It was a great card to use because I mean,
it was too good not to play it.
Too good not to play it. So I played all 4 of mine. I still have them to this day.
So does Courtney. She also was a max rarity and hardcore Amber Steel player, and she was like, I need 4 Rapunzels. As soon as she saw it, she was like, guys, let's go. We need to get, how am I getting 4 of these in Chicago? Because I need 4 of them immediately.
And for me, it's pens. I collect pens like it's nobody's business. So
I'm gonna click on you, make you the whole thing so people can see your pens behind us. I can see your bag.
Let me grab it. Oh.
Okay, I saw it in the background whenever you logged in. I was like, oh, that's so cute. I have 1 pen currently on my Enchanted Chatter.
So I collect pens. You see here. Oh. And if you can see right there is the whole New World pen. I have the D23 pens. I was at the Last Chance qualifier as a judge, which was great because I got to do the redemption thing.
That was really cool. Those are really cool pens.
Yeah. I will probably never give up the whole New World pen.
I don't blame you. Wait, hold on. Show it again. I'm gonna make you big screen.
Yeah,
they're so pretty.
My 2 fancy pins on tonight. Usually they're on a cork board on my wall, but I was like, I've got to represent my two fancy pins that I have earned from working in mints.
The fanciest pins I have are the Mickey, the red Mickey pen. Steve Warner gave me one for giving him a friendship bracelet in Denver. Aww. And so that's my Enchanted Chatter bag is slowly starting to accumulate pens because we also judged at the DCI. We were doing casting for it. And so we got cute pens for that. So I put that and then my Mickey pen on my little Enchanted Chatter backpack. So it's slowly building up. But Courtney, you will have bracelets from Milwaukee because I have bracelets for you to take already because I will not be there. I just need to pass the carabiner back to Courtney.
I do have a boo-boo in here. Chicken nuggets in here, of course. This one's chicken nugget.
My son calls them all Labubu's are babies. And he's who actually pointed it out to me the first time we saw it is because he goes, "Ooh, mama, baby, mama. Labubu's are babies."
That's really cute.
But I'll have Lorcana shirts for the boo-boos at Milwaukee because you know me, I go nuts, and I love stickers. So there's a lot of people who do stickers for their like. So this is Phil's logo for Inland Enchanted, Lorcana Fran, Snuggly Ducklings, Lorcana Dad, most wholesome guy ever. I love collecting stickers. So honestly, if you guys have stickers, I love stickers.
Oh, we ordered stickers, but then they were like messed up, and we actually had to send them. I think we had to send them back, and they were supposed to be sending us new ones or something like that. I don't remember. Courtney also does all of our merch. In case anyone has noticed, Courtney does most of the technical things. I get on the stream and I pass out friendship bracelets and I chase a toddler. That's my life. Unless I'm at work, which I work at the little gym. And so I'm doing gymnastics with other people's toddlers. That is my life. Lorcana and toddlers. All right.
Seems like a pretty good life, I would say.
It is very fun. It keeps you on your toes.
I was going to say it keeps you busy for sure.
Yes. And then, all right, I actually have the thing pulled up. Good question. What are some memorable calls or like rulings that you've had from any sort of event, anywhere, anyone that just sticks out? You're like, ooh, this was really hard, or this was just a really interesting call, whatever it may be.
My very first call.
Ooh, what was it? Can you give us deets?
I can give you some deets. It's just usually by default. TOs are not supposed to talk about like certain rulings
Yeah.
or give names or anything. So I'll make this as broad as I can. Very first day, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, first person ever, first time judging 2,000 people. Vegas is big, overwhelming. I'm just like, and I'm on the competitive constructed 11 o'clock Vegas. So everybody's competing for tickets. Tickets are a thing. End of round, procedures happen, and if you know, end of round, you have 5 turns to conclude, or it's a draw. So I have to sit on end of rounds, and the person who was mentoring me actually is a friend of Taryn's. Great guy, I love him a lot. He's great at end of round procedures. Like taught me everything. Like, and he's like, you do it, and it was a really great way to teach somebody. So I really appreciate his teaching style. So I sat down, did my 5 turns. I'm like, okay, team, who won round 1? Both hands go up. They said I did, and I'm just like, what? They're like, no, I did. And then they start arguing. He's like, no, man, I did. And one has a boogie board. The other one has a boogie board. How do you determine who wins round 1? And neither of the neighbors remember who won round 1. I don't know if you remember that one, too.
I do.
And that was my first.
It's like an infamous call from that particular event.
Oh
It
no.
was before the even like big things had happened, right? It was a Friday side event, I think, where this occurred, right?
That was my first judge call ever. And all I could do was just, I said, hold please. And I got our appeals judge, who's also my mentor. He's currently still my mentor to this day. I learn a lot from him every day. His name's Phil. I was like, Phil, what do I do? Because I mean, if both people say, so the rules state the person who has the paper trail defaults. But if they both have boogie boards, how do you investigate? This is where your investigating comes into play. I immediately document. I always carry an Apple Watch if I felt on my wrist, because I immediately start the timer, because you want to know the time that this started. You want to know how much time extension that we're doing. Honestly, it took an hour and a half, so it really didn't negated the fact of that. But to investigate, how was the final lore calculated in turn 1 and game 1? Asking neighbors, pulling people aside to investigate. That really threw me into the whole investigating part of judging. I thought, at first judging is like, oh, rule 5.2.1.6 states blah, 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 and then you move on. There's a whole nother side, like investigating, problem solving.
You got thrown into the deep end right out the gate is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
No life jacket, just...
Yes.
They pushed you into the pool and said, swim.
Yeah. And I'm a person who says, if you tell me that the sky is green, I'm going to believe you unless otherwise stated. And for me, being a pretty naive person, to understand that ill intent, to understand who's for better words, cheating and who's not, is a big ask, especially day 1. Eventually it got resolved. It was I did not have to make the final ruling on that, because it was
that goes to head judge status. I was like, that sounds like whoever's in charge needs to figure that one out.
And that was day 1.
Like, oh, hey, at least from there it's only up from there. Majority of your stuff is not going to be that.
I'll let Taryn go with her.
I don't know what my most memorable call is.
There we go.
And one of the most memorable things that's happened while I was judging, I worked at an event in June in the Baltimore area. And it happened to be hosted in a place that did not have air conditioning. And it happened to be very hot and very humid that particular day. Like, it was the first time it was hot and humid in the season. And I took probably no less than 10 calls that day of, I drew my top card, but my cards were stuck together. What do I do? Because they ended up drawing 2 of them. And so you could see in their face when you were walking over. I was like, you drew 2 cards, didn't you? And they're like, yeah, what do I do? And I was like, it's okay, we can fix it. Super, like, it's an easy fix, but it was just one of those, like,
that's one of those
things.
silly things where it's like you can't control, like,
You can't
like,
control the environment
accident.
we're in.
Like,
Yeah,
oh my,
the cards were just super sticky because everybody was sticky, because of how warm and toasty it was for everybody involved.
yeah, I live in Texas. If there was somewhere with no AC, I'm not staying.
Most players, by the time they like had determined there was no way for them to make top bet, they left that day. We didn't do a lot of side events, but that was okay. Like it was still a fun event. It was one of those silly things like where you never thought that
Like,
you would be doing in a day of judging. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just put people's card count errors all day. It's fine. Or their like dexterity issues all day. But it was good. It was easy. By the time you did it one time, you're like, yeah, I got this. I know exactly how to remedy this situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the South, like it's currently today it was 95, and this is at cooler. So if there's somewhere without AC, in the South, it's the event's getting canceled. They're gonna reschedule.
Yeah. I think if it had been like July, we wouldn't have been able to do it. But we sort of snuck by on like the cusp of
Just got
this is
barely
the first time it's really hot. Mm-hmm.
like, ugh. All right. What are some like misconceptions that players have about judges that you've experienced? Any at all come to mind?
I think so. I don't know if this is a misconception or just like lack of trust or I don't know. There's a lot of different things it could be. But if you have a question, just call a judge. We're more than happy to like answer whatever question it is. I will stand at your table while you go to the bathroom and give you a time extension because you can't control when you have to go to the bathroom. So if you have to go to the bathroom, just call one of us over and we'll give you a time extension for that. Now, if it becomes a lot, then maybe we have to chat. But if you're like, I didn't have time between rounds last time, just call us over. If you don't know how a card works, call us over. If you have a question about something in your hand and you want to know, like, if I play this now, like, what is the rule around that? We can't give you advice on it, but we can say the way the triggers would resolve would happen.
Is this going to work the way that I think it's going to work before I actually do it?
Exactly. So, like, don't be afraid to call a judge. We're not bully people. We're there because we're passionate about rules. Like, it's our thing. We like to think about them. But we also just like to help people and educate people and make sure that you all are having a great time. So don't be worried about calling one of us over. We won't, as far as I know, we shouldn't speak on behalf of all judges, but at least I won't bite when I come over. I will answer your question and then walk away.
Yeah.
I agree with that. There's actually a really good little excerpt that came out from Googly Glimmers about judge calls for Milwaukee. So look that up if you know Googly Glimmers. It tells you to be feel empowered to call a judge. Misconceptions. There's a lot of misconceptions about Lorcana judges because we are the new kids on the block, and we have Magic judges have been doing this for 30 years. So they've had tried and true breakdowns, and
they have like classes, things they have to take to learn to be judged. Like they have to get certified to be able to be judged, and we don't have that yet. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. So there is that misconception that we're just some guy, and we all were some guy. But I think the misconception is that we don't understand competitive organized play, and we do, and we understand what is and isn't a warning, a caution, what warrants the calls that we have. I feel that we're here as customer service people to make your play experience as close to the rules as they were written. And feel confident in that. And we're here. We're not here to DQ you.
No one wants to disqualify anybody for something. Like you're not looking for a way to punish someone for something.
Yeah.
It's just you want to play the game. I'm just here to make sure that the game's rules are being followed. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. And I'm here to help you shuffle your cards. I'm here to help you understand a chain of events. I'm here to help, when there isn't, a mistake. Because, 99% of all judge calls are just general questions. I very little get actual rulings calls. They're mostly like, oh no, I dropped my card. Oh no, I double drew by mistake. I'm so sorry. They're most of the time just, simple mistakes, and we're just there to make sure that we get you back on track and keep playing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. People get scared to call a judge because they think like, oh no, is this person going to get mad at me because I'm calling a judge for something? Or like there's like a social pressure that no one talks about. That's just if you have anxiety, it's there. Even though like, because I remember I was playing someone and I think they had a question about a card in their hand and they weren't sure. And they wanted to they're like, can I just show you the card and ask you? I was like, we're at a DLC. It was like, let's just call a judge. You can ask them, like, it's okay. Like, I will look at your card. I was like, but I don't want you giving me information that's in your hand. I was like, that doesn't feel right to me. I was like, let's just call them over. And she was like, I don't want to call a judge. Like, I don't want someone to get mad at me. I'm like, that's why they're here. I'm like, it's okay. Like, that's why they're here. Mm-hmm. I was like, and so like we call a judge over, and she was very young. It was her first big tournament. I think she was like 17. She was there with her dad. And she was like terrified. And I was like, it's okay. I'm like, it's okay. Like, that's why they're here. I'm like, I'm not upset with you. No one, if anyone is upset about you over calling a judge for you wanting to make sure a card does what you think it does, it's in your hand, that's their problem, not yours. It's like, that's a reflection of them. It is okay.
And again, people are playing for big prizes. So I kind of make it my personal, like, mama bird MO. So when I see younger players, like, children playing or people who are younger, female, I tend to kind of stay around that area and like make sure that they're being played, they're playing appropriately. That's why they can understand, what they're doing. And also there's been situations where, people are like, oh, you're just a child, you should just concede to me. And I'm like, excuse me?
I've gotten beaten by several children. Derek, the Lorcana kid that's been on a few different streams, one of them has beat me several times. Never underestimate a child. If anything, they might be hyper fixated and they're going to know their deck inside and out better than anyone could because they're going to be like, this is amazing and I'm going to be the best at this. Mm-hmm. And I have time to just practice this deck over and over again and be amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception is people fear that if a judge is called over, we're going to call something out and you're going to get a warning or a caution. We're not. I give very little warnings and cautions in this day and age. It's mostly just small dexterity errors, information errors, and the good thing about a Lorcana is it is conducive to a learning environment. So you can work with those situations, and I hope soon we get some better clarity on that, so we could better assist Ravensburger to be good judges.
Yes, and I think there's like a thing where they have. I think a lot of people think because there's no official judge program, there's not actual guidelines of specifically what to do if they don't really look for it. I'm like, no, there is like an actual like they're just reading, like they're doing what it tells them to do. Like, is it this? I was like, it's basically like a flow chart. Is it this or this? Okay. And then you just follow down to where you go. I was like, there is a way to, like, there aren't just like making up what they want to do on the spot. Like, it's not just how they feel that day of what they're going to decide to do. But yeah, fun fact. This is a good point. Calling a judge is not an attack on someone's character. Fun fact, I call a judge on myself at Set Champs over the weekend. I was playing Amber Steel aggro and I had Daisy out and I forgot to I quested with Daisy, forgot to announce the trigger, and I was writing down the lore and I passed the turn while I was writing the lore and drew Drew's card for turn, and then we both realized it was one of my friends that we were playing against. We were on stream and he was like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I mean, I'll just show you the card and like we could just keep it. I was like, but we're on stream. I was like, my husband is the head judge. And so I just like called him over. I'm like, Judge, I didn't announce the trigger. This is my fault. And like our friend was like, he was just like sitting there. He was like, what happens? He was like, I don't know. I was like, he's my husband, but he's the judge first. Like, it's okay. Like, if anything, he's gonna get on to me more later after we leave than now. I was like, but I was like, and he was just like, bad. And then our friend was like, okay. Like, he's like, I thought it was gonna be a lot worse than that. I'm like, I was like, it's a mistrigger. I was like, it happens. It's like we are all humans playing a human game. Like, there is human error is allowed. Like, it is okay.
Taryn, what was the biggest call? What was the biggest call in Bologna? Was Donald a pretty common call that you had?
So I was on the deck check team in Bologna. So I was out on the floor some, but I was more like scooping decks and taking them and checking them, and then judging at the end. So I don't have a good feeling for what the like most common call was in Bologna. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was in charge of cues. I'm an excellent like line organizer, and so I did a lot of line organizing and helping players like find their pairings and things of that nature when things were a little bit less smoothly. So I didn't actually take that many calls when I was there. Took a few more on Sunday when I was working the Infinity event, but those were more typical calls that we would expect because they're the more typical decks that we've been sort of around over the past couple of years.
The game grid CCQ was on the same weekend, and I was in Utah. Judging that. I think Donald was the biggest call I had because not only you have to ready, set, draw for Donald. Do you want to draw for Donald? Then draw for turn. So that was probably my biggest call, I'd say, and I'm probably going to see that a lot next week. But bear in mind, the admin team for the DLC Milwaukee, the pastime team, is a female-led team. It is cracked, like female representation to the max. So I'm excited because it's females making the shots, making the calls, and head judging, and it's going to be amazing.
One day, Charlie's is going to be able to have an event, the women's tournament, and it's going to be run by all women judges also, and it's going to be iconic.
I'll come down.
Last time we did have a female head judge for that, so I was still on main event, but I specifically we got a female head judge to run the event, so we had two of us there out of the 9.
I'm free that weekend.
Courtney is asking, how do you handle missed like May triggers? Because like the Donald is a May, like they may draw, but how do you handle if they miss that? They did want to draw, but they missed it.
So with that, it is a May trigger, but your opponent is given the option to draw. So say you draw for turn, it's passed. That's when we as a judge come over. We resolve by letting you, the opponent, have that draw opportunity, and then you decide at that point: do you still want your opponent A? Will you let him honor that May trigger? And you can say yes, you can say no. Just really be careful about those May triggers because if you draw, ready, set, Donald, that's where Donald should be drawn.
Yes.
And you did give your opponent the opportunity to draw. Now you put that into the opponent's hands where they can be like, I don't want him to draw. I'm still going to draw though. Yeah, so, and tell me if I'm wrong.
That one in particular is complicated because it's a single marble owned by the Donald owner. But if they pass it by doing the draw step, then it becomes a mistrigger. And so I think the way we've been ruling it sounds like the way it was ruled there and the way it was ruled at CCS was we ended up not ruling it as a mistrigger. We ended up ruling it as a general ruled error.
Correct.
So that we could rewind to the point of the draw for the opponent of the owner of the trigger because the rules of mistriggers make it more complicated to rule it that way. So I think that's probably a deviation, but it's a deviation that's been consistent, at least in the two events that Cassie and I are talking about. And I think it's a good thing to get clarity on before Milwaukee as well.
I think we had a good question in the chat. It's about deck checks. And so how, oh my gosh, this is a long message. Sorry. Feel free not to answer this. How subjective do you find deck checking to be? Like, for example, would a marked card to one person be fine to someone else? Or do you confirm with judges before issuing any warnings, etc.? Or is it just like a one person sees it, agrees? How does it work for making calls on deck checks, since that's what you were doing in Bologna? How does that work?
So in Bologna, I worked as a pair. So I had another judge that I was working with, and we worked as a team. So when you get the deck, you initially inspect it to see, is there anything weird happening with the deck? Because you take it after it's been presented to the opponent, before the cut has happened, ideally. And so you take it and you say, is there anything weird that looks like it's happening with the shuffling that occurred? And then after you check that, you're like, everything's good. And then you lay out the cards, you check it against the list, and then you put them back together again. You shuffle them up, and you're looking for those marked cards. Anytime there was something that we were suspicious about or worried about, we would hand the deck to our partner, and we would say, what do you think? Like, we wouldn't tell them what we were concerned about or worried about, because like sometimes my eyes might be more critical of something, but my partner's eyes are like, nope, that's not there. Or once we've done that, if we both are identifying the same thing, that's when we move into the why is this happening, and what sort of thing do we think occurred here? So when, for example, I had a card that had gotten like dust on it in its sleeve, and we tried to get the dust out, but then it was like stuck to the card. And so we had to ask the player about that, because we didn't want to damage his card by like trying to get the little dirt thing off of it. But it was just one card. It turned out to be a card defect. But at least in that situation, I always had somebody else with me, and we always had two eyes on it before any warnings or like questioning occurred.
Okay.
Same thing. I've done deck checks with Taryn before. I learned mine from Lorcana librarian Sarah. So if you could shuffle a deck 3 out of the 5 times and find the same cards, question it. There's always problems with, like, say you have, for example, the pink. What did you say? Oh my gosh.
Dragon Shield?
Dragon Shield, thank you.
Dragon Shield's one that typically I use Dragon Shield, and sometimes I'll get them, and I have to check them even if they're a new box. Sometimes I feel like.
Yeah, sometimes one box will be slightly off from the other. So say if you switch out your sleeves because they were bent and they have like the corners, then you have that little line at the bottom where you can see a difference of color. And that's totally innocent. And they just wanted to re-sleeve those cards that got bent. However, now if you look at the bottom of your deck, you can see it even more. So those are things that we're looking for. And I always get a second set of eyes. And then I always get a third set of eyes. Working in pairs is also very good. But I always start with, if I could shuffle it 3 out of the 5 times and I could pull the same cards each and every time, that's when I ask for a second or a third opinion, because I will never issue a warning or possible game loss without at least a panel of consensus.
Yeah, I use Dragon Shields, and I love Dragon Shields. That's what my husband used for Magic, and they had like really pretty orchid sleeves. I love them. We were at PAX Unplugged, and they had like a crazy sale on them, so we bought like a bajillion boxes of them, and came home, and then I started using them, and I started noticing as I was like building decks together, the difference on the bottom of them, and I was like, oh no. And so I've started doing it. I'm like, I have my deck sleeved, and then if I do like a big tournament, whatever deck I set on, I end up re-sleeving into different sleeves, just because I'm like, I don't want to risk getting in trouble like over a deck check, because I already know these sleeves are not great, just because it's just and that's just a quality, different batches, they were printed different places, who knows. But I was like, that is something that like genuinely gives me fear, because it's like, I was like, I promise I'm not cheating, but if you can do this, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not good enough at the game to cheat, I promise. But Chad's popping off with all kinds of questions for y'all on judging. What defines a marker? Like, you put something on Pete to remind no actions. Is that okay or is that not okay?
As long as it doesn't have numbers on it, you're good to go, according to the latest update. So anything that is a non-numerical reminder can be used. And so that's the important part. You can't just put like your dice on things to remind you of things. But if it doesn't have numbers on it, feel free to put on your cards whatever you want to remind yourself or your opponent of things going on.
Okay, so if it says no action, it's okay.
Anything that has note taking. So like that could be words, that could be numbers. Okay. So honestly, like using like a duck, like a little baby duck.
I use like Disney Doorables on my stuff whenever I have different triggers for things. And it's like, oh, it's just a cute little character I have in my box. My Aurora is my little good luck charm, and I just set it out whenever I have different things happening.
I have evolutions, like it doesn't mean anything. As long as it doesn't give you notes, is fine. RC cars, anything that you want.
Well, I mean, I have a plethora of dinosaurs. I might end up switching it out one day and just start using dinosaurs for different things. So just no words or numbers, and it's good. We have gone over a teensy bit, but we're not completely off. All right, last thing. Do you have any tips for players that want to volunteer or start judging, like locally? Anything like do you have any advice for people that are wanting to venture into the judge space?
First off, join the Lorcana Rulebook Cup that is ran by judges to give rulings, so you can get familiarized. And they post opportunities all the time to be like, hey, do you want to judge this event or that event? Just honestly getting those connections in the door. We always need female judges. I always deferred. I need to have a female judge on my staff. It just gives me. If I it's like, girl, I need to pop off for like a minute, and I can pop off with Taryn. I have that outlet where we can lean on each other for that advice and that support. Joining that Rulebook Hub is a great opportunity. Honestly, just asking your local store that you like, hey, can I judge the next set jam? Can I do this? Can I do that? We are always looking for more people because, I always try to take people who are interested and passionate about the game.
Mm-hmm. But I think there's also power in saying, hey, can I ghost judge at this event? Like, I know that your staff is already full, but can I be here as sort of like a shadow? Can I learn the ropes? Can I see if it's something that I truly like? And that gets you in the door, but it also gets you experience that you can then say, hey, I did this. I really enjoyed it, and I would like to continue to do it. I think that's another good way to do it, because sometimes it can be hard to break into events. Just there's not a lot of them. DLCs are a great way to do it. It is a trial by a lot of people, for sure. But that's another great way to get into those events, just because they require more staffing. But the smaller events, I think ghost judging is a great way to do it. Reach out to the tournament organizer or the head judge of the event and say, hey, I know your staff is full, but could I come and sort of see what's going on and see if this is something that I would even be interested in. And I think that would be a great way to get into it as well.
All right. Well, I think that does most of our agenda. We didn't veer completely too far off topic. So we stuck with it pretty well. But thank y'all so much for your time. Where can people, do y'all have social media presence where people can find you to ask you questions or reach out to you for anything? Any sort of anything? Or are you just pretty low key?
I'm pretty low key. I'm in Discord, but I don't do things often there. So, but I'm in the Rulebook Hub. I'm in the other sort of judgy spaces in terms of those of Discord. But otherwise, I'm not on social media. I don't know how to do that. I'm an old person.
I think we're the same age, to be honest.
I know that I'm not that old, but my like social media skills are of that of an old person.
I'm in Club Casual, the Lorcana Rulebook Hub. You can find both me and Taryn there to answer any questions. I'm at most PPG Summit events. The next one is the week after Charlie's, December 12th through the 14th in Orlando, Florida. I'll be there. I'll be in Milwaukee next week. You cannot miss me. We'll both be there, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I will be there.
Yeah.
Look for the Labubu's.
Look for the Labubus.
I won't have a Labubu, but I'm pretty I don't know. I wear a mask and
I feel like it's pretty easy to find it because you're pretty consistent through all the different things I've seen you judging at. It's just, they're right there. Y'all are easy to find in a crowd.
Matching yellow hoodie that matches Lorcana colors. I bought 3 of them.
I love that so much.
But you guys have a great night.
Yeah, thank you so much.